All right. You guys confirm you can see that, please?
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Glad to have you. We wanted to have this rat chat just to get you up to speed with a few topics. So let's dive in and see what's going on. Already did that. So here's kind of what the chat flow is going to look like for today. It's going to be an initial briefing, which is what we're doing now, and then we're going to go through our slides and give you updates on several topics. And then we're going to be sure to answer probably several of your questions. That's why we do this. We want to maintain a close connection with you guys, and it's just a good idea every so often to do this. So one of the things we'll be starting with is probably the most significant on our plate right now is the move to Portland. We're moving the servers, if you did not know this, from Dallas, Texas, which is where they've been for the entirety of World War II Online's existence, to Portland, which is where Corner Rat Software HQ is. And there's a lot of reasons doing that. It's going to be financially better for us. We're going to get a better service. And it gives us the opportunity to rebuild from the ground up our own infrastructure because you can imagine, kind of like the code base after 20 some odd years, there's some cruft laying around that needs improving. And while we have made several good improvements over the years and since our team has taken over, starting completely from the ground up gives us a great baseline opportunity to start from scratch and do it right. We're also going to be covering Mission Leader Waypoints. This is one of those items that were inside of the development roadmap that we announced earlier this year. It's we're going to have some screenshots for you today to show you where the progress is, which is awesome. Same thing with vehicle loadouts. We're going to be focusing with vehicle loadouts on bombers, and we've got a screenshot and a little video for you. So we'll get to that. Then, of course, we'll get into some questions and answering. That's very important to us. Please note, 64-bit is currently in testing. Holiday vacations are kicking in and slowing things down a little bit, however. That being said, we understand Mac players, we tried to get ahead of this in time. The task was great, which we're not afraid of. This whole project is a challenge, and that's nothing we're afraid of. But the fact is we're mostly volunteer team, and we have to work with most of the guys' schedule. There's only 2 of us who are considered full-time, just for your awareness. And we're very grateful for the volunteers. Without them, we wouldn't be making the progress that we are. Also, don't forget to update your billing. The billing stuff that's happened between October and present have been a little bit painful. They were things that were unforeseen, and we just had to do a 6-month project in a 45-day timeline, which is why that's a little messed up. So we want to give you our gratitude and thanks for your patience through all that and quickly reactivating your subscriptions. By the way, we're still at about 40% of our subscriber base who has not. So if you got billed in September, 40% of you have not updated your billing method, which is hurting us badly. Please fix that. It's really, really important. For those of you that have the 60%, thank you very much. Let's try and get that other 40% in order, please. Also, High Command could really use some more officers. It is really low numbers at the moment, and it doesn't make sense because the weight on them, the load and burden, is way less labor intensive than pretty much ever before, at least over the last decade. So we definitely want to talk about that. And we have I'm Brutus here, who's she's the training commander for both sides. I'll let her talk more about that, but been playing in game the last few days, and that's the #1 problem I see with the in-game actions. With that being said, we're going to get to our top little bits here. We're going to get into the move to Portland. So I'll move this little bar thingy out of the way so you can see better. Over here to the right, you'll see this is our current infrastructure. I took this the other day. It's incomplete. It's still being worked on, but we currently have our Portland close set up and networking gear in place, as shown on the right-hand side of this slide, which I just indicated. Pilot MC is working on network configuration now, and we have connectivity confirmed, meaning our internet and cross connector in place. In infrastructure terms, that's what serves us our ISP, like your router at home, your modem. And we also have the configuration of virtual machines. Virtual machines allow us to use individual box for multiple processes. Think of a pizza being sliced multiple times, and each one of those slices of pizza doing something else. That's kind of what a virtual machine is in layman's terms. We also have additional servers on the way to Portland for installation. We will be moving over services via the web predominantly, which may cause some slowdowns, and we're going to gear towards making that happen around time zone 3 to the best of our ability. However, as the next bullet points indicates, we will be 100% out of Dallas, Texas, or DFW by December 31st, 2019. The end of this month, we will be 100% out of Dallas. So therefore, the actual cutover date will be shared beforehand, but transitioning services over is going to take the ultimate priority. This is a very significant milestone in World War II Online's history, and we will do everything we can to mitigate those downtimes, but they are necessary, and we will do everything we can to communicate with you and set better expectations. I realize today we don't have boom, 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 here's all these timestamps. Don't worry, we will say something before. Certainly, if it impacts the game server, we'll let you know. But set your expectations now that between, well, as of today and the end of the month, we're under a pretty significant time crunch. And again, the justification for doing this is most of our personnel in terms of technical hands are on the West Coast. It's better maintenance for CRS. It also reduced the operating costs for what we have to do to pay for World War II Online, and we're being able to start all over again. So those are the main justifications as we've outlined, on the homepage and also earlier this meeting. So actual total cutover date will be shared beforehand. We're going to do a lot of testing before that happens. If you're in high command, the tools will be coming offline for 1 to 2 weeks once pulled from DFW. They're on an old machine. We're waiting on B2K to complete the new version of HC tools. Therefore, they have to, when that machine gets turned off, it gets sent up here immediately to Portland until it gets here and it's installed in this cabinet you're looking at on the right, which if I receive it, I'll get in there the same day. That's not a problem. But it means the shipping will be 7 to 10 business days, or 7 to 14 rather. With that being said, I want to invite Pilot MC to cover anything I miss, which could be a substantial number of things. Pilot MC is our systems administrator. He's the brains behind all this and is leading the project. So Pilot, your ball.
Hey, thanks, Zoom. All right, hello, everyone. So I'm Pilot MC, the Network and Systems Admin. As Zoom has mentioned, I think he covered most of the big bullet points very well. Once again, this is a pretty large move. If you look at, in the grand scheme of things, moving everything from one data center in one part of the U.S. to a whole nother part is a pretty big task. I'm trying to do it with minimal game downtime. So that's my first goal, is to reduce the amount of downtime to a minimum. And so, like Zoom said, we're going to be moving stuff over as much as we can from Dallas to Portland over the internet. And I'll try to target that work during time zone 3 to have the minimal impact on you guys when you get in there and play in the most busiest and populous times. So one of the things that my personal goal that I've been wanting to do for a while, but has been kind of difficult in the established co-location right now, is to really increase our network throughput and remove all the choke points and impediments that we can internally, so that we have a super clean path out to the player base from the servers, and that can be discounted as problematic in any regard. So that's those two are my major goals during this move, is to minimize the downtime and increase the network productivity within the colo to get a better experience for you guys. And that's about it. That's really all I have. I think, like I said, Zoom covered everything else. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. You can ask in chat, I guess, and I'll monitor the chat window as we go along. Thanks, Zoom.
Copy that. All right. It's a good time to mention that you guys should have like a notepad together as we go through these topics, or if you have something else to bring up, write down your top 3 questions for us. When we call on you, we want to call on each individual. We'll go through the details, but now is a good time to start writing down notes if you got them and you want more clarification. A Pilot MC is doing a monster task here, by the way, so give that guy some love. With that being said, we're going to move forward to the next slide, which is the Mission Leader Waypoints. As we outlined in our 2019-20 roadmap, Mission Leader Waypoints and empowering them with greater tools is of paramount significance, because we get it. Combat field leadership really needs more tools to better direct users. It's been one of the hindrances of World War II Online, is how do we guide users, particularly new guys who are just trying to figure things out. And at the same time, how do we make it more clear in a very easy to do manner, in a very easy to understand way for our veteran players? So Mission Leader Waypoints was one of the concepts. So as you know, right now, I'll get this out of the way again, sorry. You know the typical game map right here. In this case, you're right here facing south, and you've got these waypoints. You right click. This doesn't look any different, but what you're going to see next will be. So think of there's rally here, which is a custom written one, and then you have your generic R1, M1, A1s. Now watch this. You can see now transparently through your heads-up display these waypoints. This is going to be fairly significant. Now remember, this is a work in progress and is subject to some change. But to be able to better direct users there and make more clear where the stuff is as you move around and rotate. Now these are all in one, to the south according, so if we go back a slide, again, they're all facing south, but you could have waypoints all around you. So it may not have to look quite this bunched up, but again, and you also notice the color coding's unique. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to really, as a mission leader particularly, better guide their soldiers, which is something we desperately need. As we get closer to, later down the road to voice comms, that's going to be a huge force multiplier as well. But this is a great, easy to do stepping stone that we can do now. And I say easy, not as the developer. Obviously, these things take time. So thank you, Sniper. Sniper62 is not here today, but he has been working on this mostly. And this is going to be great for their tool set. So if you got questions about this, let's talk about it. Should be pretty straightforward. It works just like waypoints do now. It just shows up as on your heads-up display. So this one's pretty cool, very exciting. We've talked about vehicle loadouts for a very, very long time in World War II Online, and what you're about to see is current work in progress. This is actually in the game. You can kind of see it back here, but let's take a look. Okay, so right here you're seeing an example of a Heinkel, and there would be a little spot here. This is a current work in progress. Remember, this is just for base functionality, bare bones. And these loadouts are not the final. This one particularly is probably just a test as a proof of concept to make sure we can have different loadouts. So basically, if you want loadout 1, which is 8 250 kilogram bombs, this is what the current standard loadout for the Heinkel is. You type in 1, okay? And then you hit enter world. If you want loadout 2 or 4 500 kilogram SC500s, okay, again, we'll let Hatch determine if those are going to happen or not. We do have 50 kilograms, but the point is 1, 2, or 3, 1, 2, or 3, and then hit enter. I think you guys get that. If you have questions about this, we'll discuss them at the end. What you're seeing now is currently working on a development side. We can test this and make this happen. We are, for vehicle loadouts, starting out only with bombers, just bombers. However, this functionality can be ported over to other vehicle classes. We wanted to start with bombers because those guys need some love, and it also makes the project a bit more manageable and gives us a great opportunity to really test it with a very knowledgeable group of players, and will help us refine it before we get to things like tanks and stuff. It also makes managing, bomb loadouts very, very easy. We will likely be starting out with aircraft overall before we move over into the Army sector, because obviously the Air Force guys do need some love, and beyond that, the Army, there's so much to do. We want to make sure we take care of the Air Force guys in this regard first, because they really haven't had anything cool like this in a very long time. Okay, so here's a little video of loadout number 3. You can kind of see it right there. There's going to be some bombs coming in. This is just a test to show you that this loadout is actually working, which is the 30 some odd 50 kilogram bombs. See that big? Okay. All right. So that's kind of, you'll be able to select. I'm going to go back to that slide. Once again, these are not the final loadouts, but with all bomber classes, you'll be able to select what type of loadout you do want. Then you hit enter world. It's very easy, very cool. No, I don't want to watch it again. Okay. Now that really completes the end of our briefing. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now, 1 second. We're gonna move into a question and answer opportunity where we want you guys to be able to raise your hands. So if you look on your UI for this meeting platform, you should be able to see, hey, raise my hand. It should be highlight your name, and then off to the right, there should be that functionality. Okay, so Lancelot Smith, give you an opportunity. Lancelot, you are unmuted. What's up? Lancelot, can you speak? Okay, we're going to mute him back, give him an opportunity. When we call on you, it's really important. We're now in the Q&A phase. As soon as you raise your hands, that means, hey, I have a question. I'm ready to talk. And when I call on you, just ask your question. Just keep it to one question, please, for now, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I'm going to go to Warhammer. Here we go.
Hey, Zoom.
Hey.
Just got a question. That new A1, etc., for the leaders, can that be turned off in any way, or is that always on when we mark them?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Just going to answer that, just lowering the hand. Great question. So he's asking, can the heads-up display waypoints be turned off? So the answer to that is yes. It works just like the other waypoints do right now. I'm sure that you'll get used to it enough to like it. But yes, it's certainly something you can turn off. And if you find it annoying, you don't have to have it up. So we're going to go to Hawker next. Hawker, here we go. Go ahead.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so with the new like HUD visibility stuff that y'all are looking at, are y'all thinking of maybe moving towards more tools maybe that the OIC can use to kind of direct people in better directions? Because one of the biggest issues I've seen lately is people just kind of hanging out in random buildings throughout towns, and they're all green tags and they have no idea where they're going. So with that, are you thinking of implementing maybe more tools for them to be able to be directed to where they need to be?
Great question. I'm going to mute you and lower your hand and then answer your question. That's going to be sort of the flow of how this works. But great question. As I kind of opened with the Mission Leader Waypoint stuff, I am very concerned and interested in providing any way we can better direct our users and empower field leadership to really take a greater role in commanding. For the longest time, being a mission leader really didn't have a lot of significance, and we want to make sure to give them tools to force multiply the mission and not control other people. So the short answer is yes, in a way that doesn't tell a customer or player what to do, but gives them every reason to why, yeah, I should probably listen a little bit better. I should focus and be part of a team player. World War II Online is undoubtedly a team-based game. If you all know that. So it's important that we direct people better. What I'd like to do, and we will start post this meeting, is engage with you a bit more in the forums. In the game ideas and suggestions section, I will be making a post after this meeting that talks about how do we give mission leaders better tools. And I'd really encourage you, I know it's kind of my job to tell you what's realistic and what isn't based on our resources and implementation timelines, but to try and keep it to a minimum viable product, and then we can create a really good sounding board, a base of solutions from which to work from. But if we get kind of crazy, it's going to get out of control. One other thing, which I haven't really talked to the team about, that I'm looking at is you guys remember emotes, those emote commands. Well, we tried to bring those back, and that turned out to be a super pain in the butt. So I've been actually tinkering with the idea of like, well, we don't have voice comms yet, but what if we had like a .em something for some sort of voice command? That's something I'm kind of exploring as an interim solution to voice comms to better direct users. Haven't really decided on that. That's a very early thought, but yeah, getting our mission leaders tools is great. So Nate, I'm going to call on you. You're next, and ask one question, and then we'll answer. Go ahead. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what you said, but is there going to be a thing where all bombers from the Allied side to the Axis side have those loadouts that you said?
Yep. Okay. Good question. So yes, all bombers will be having loadouts, and they will be rolled out at the same time. Hatch and the production team are currently working on getting historical loadouts and the best 3 options we think that will have an impact in World War II Online. Now, this isn't something you'll be able to customize. You'll just be able to pick which options we provide you. So that's kind of how that's going to work. But yes, bombers will be getting them first. Then we'll be going to, fighter bombers. And then we'll be going to fighters, most likely. We're going to complete the Air Force first, and then we're going to proceed into the Army. And of course, we might be able to look at other weapon variants as well. Okay, Captain Black Eagle, you're unmuted. Go ahead. Hello, hello. Okay, moving on. Private P, go ahead.
Hey Zoom, how's it going?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you again. Yeah, you've kind of touched base on it, but I was just going to ask what's happening with voice comms, because they were in the 2018 roadmap, but they somehow silently were removed from that for the 2019 roadmap. Is that something that's going to come back into the 2020 roadmap, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good question. So between 2018 and 2019, we had this, again, we're mostly volunteer team, and it's kind of hard to keep all that together. The fact that we've been able to do as much as we can is really no short of awesome. I mean, awesome isn't even a good enough word. It's undersells how significant it's been, especially with what's involved in the challenges here. I mean, this is not an easy project. We love it, but so with the turnover, it slowed us down a little bit. We lost the opportunity to have a full-time developer. The guy we had, who was our lead dev, he got canned from his job and had to go get a new one, which, not good, but he's doing okay now. That's the good news. And other people started new jobs. It's just life happens, man. So long story short, we don't want to abandon the idea of integrated voice comms. I mentioned it earlier very intentionally because it's so significant. It will radically change World War II Online for the better. There's no question about it. I mean, you can tell if you're on Discord or old school TeamSpeak or even older Roger Wilco, what sort of impact that has if you're into that. And then integrating it with the game experience would be astronomical. And it is an expectation for first-person shooter customers today for team-based games. So we understand completely the significance and needing to get that implemented. That being said, we've had 64-bit come up, which, that should have been done already, but it didn't because of that turnover and the difficulty. And other priorities is shifting around. Like we just had a huge billing scenario occur. These slow things down, and now we have the transition up to Portland, which makes sense for a lot of reasons, and it's necessary. So bear in mind that we are doing the best we can under tight resources and ever increasing demands. That requires us all to be flexible. We need your understanding in that. We will get integrated voice comms implemented. It is of great significance to us. I'm going to try and call on Lancelot Smith again, and if his mic isn't good, I'll lower his hand. Lancelot, are you there? Okay. TMNA, you're unmuted. Oh, you were. try it again.
Hey, it's T-Man.
Oh, hey, T. I thought it might. Here, let me fix that.
Oh,
There you go.
okay.
Go ahead. Here.
Hey, so I'm asking a question for Captain Black Eagle. His mic wasn't working, so in chat, he wants to know if the game is getting any new vehicles, i.e., he's waiting for the Jeep.
Jeep. Honestly, not currently on the list of things to do. Yeah, the Americans really should have the Jeep. No one's going to have that debate with you. That's an easily winnable thing. The amount of time you can see, the amount of time that we invested into the Junkers 88, which was not mentioned today, which still is in progress, by the way. Again, another scenario where the guy who we saw growing and building up in Creator, that tool that's necessary for all of our vehicles, suddenly had to go to college and got a new job. So these are the sort of challenges that we face. You know, we build somebody up or see them grow, and then boom, they have to go do something else. It's all we can do is be understanding and appreciative for that time that we have. The Jeep is not a hugely difficult model by comparison to the Junkers. But yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon. There's not a huge necessity for it at the moment. And the return on investment is really not ideal at the moment. Yeah, it'd be cool to put a 50 or 30 on the back of it. That'd be awesome. But it's just not something that's worth the investment at this point. That's the brutal, honest answer. Sorry. Nate, you got another question. Before I call on you, other people, if you do have a question, please raise your hand. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll click more next to your name or something like that. You'll be able to raise your hand in some way. Okay, I'm going to call on Nate, and then we'll go to Dilem. So, Nate, you got another one?
Yes, yes, I do. So for the voice comms in game, would there be I think there would be if you guys added an option into the key member to where you can have a push to talk and I think that Discord has, like voice activity and push to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be like introduced into the game if you guys introduce voice comms?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, good question. We will most likely require push to talk. It would be very horrendous and annoying to have somebody running around with voice activity, yelling, and then you hear kids in the background and banging dishes and God knows what else, barking dogs. That would be super annoying. So it will definitely be push the talk requirement and or the ability to disable voice chat. We've talked about that before. We want to give you guys tools, but we also want you, if you don't like them, to turn them off. Okay, Dilems. I'm trying to meet you. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, does this work?
Yeah, it's coming in kind of low. Speak up, please.
Okay. Yeah, my question is going to be, have there any thought of the Navy and Air Force infantry coming back?
Okay, good question. And I know that's very important to you. Adding those guys would be relatively trivial, to be honest. It's not difficult work. It's just a matter of, it's kind of redundant, not for the sake of being disrespectful. Because I know this is an important thing to you, but at every single airfield and every dock town, naval town, there is an Army garrison. Truly, it's not difficult work. It could be done. There really needs to be a really strong justification as to the why, though, because it might actually imbalance the the numbers. It would require another extra layer for us to do that. Another layer of consideration is what I meant. Sorry. PD, I'm going to call on you again, then we'll go to Googs. If you guys got other questions, raise your hand, please. PD, you're up.
Hey, I was wondering about vehicle loadouts. Is that going to lead to infantry loadouts where you might be able to pick up weapons or like kit yourself out, that kind of thing?
Yeah. All right, good question. No, it will not be leading to infantry loadouts, most likely. In the form that you're referring to, where you can pick up weapons, vehicles, and infantry in our data files are handled completely different. It's handled completely different. we could create more infantry classes, and I've talked with some of the community members. I'm interested if you guys have ideas about working with our existing equipment sets, what else we can do. But it's a whole other beast, and it's unknown. In terms of picking up weaponry from other soldiers, definitely not going to happen, because that's the same reason you can't get out of a truck and all that, or jump out of an airplane and land on the ground and start shooting people. We're all attached to the vehicles in World War II online. So Googs, I'm going to call on you. Googs, what do you got?
No problem. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. So my question is really around the thresholds, and if you guys are going to be looking at the thresholds around spawn delays and cap timers, and mainly in TZ3 and late TZ2. As HC, we seems like we get a lot of complaints and people whining about that during that time zone, and just wonder if anything can be done with that.
Can you drill down into that a little bit more? What are the complaints and quote whining referencing?
Well, specifically, I think it's really that the delay in that happening. So cap timers will be really slow when you know that really there's not very many people on. So when people log, I just think with low numbers, let's say 30 total people in game, the numbers just seem to be not adjusting as fast, right? So the threshold of whether it's a delay of 5 minutes or whatever you guys have for a delay, it just seems like it's a little out of whack, and it just seems like it's a constant topic when you're in game, and it's hard to deflect.
Okay.
Now,
go ahead.
here.
Ohm's the game manager, guys.
Yep. Has this been an issue for this map? Because quietly I have adjusted the numbers for percentages, not the actual spawn delay in seconds, but percentage for this map to see what kind of reaction it has. And I haven't really seen anything really out of the ordinary or catastrophic. So is it past maps or just particularly this particular map?
I'll have to unmute him again if you want a response. Googs, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, good response. It has gotten better, this map. So I will say that the numbers have gotten better. I think a lot of it is, there's a lot of allied players this map. So I think cap timers are going faster anyways for Axis. But last map, and actually the several maps before that, it was all over the board. So I'm glad you have done something. I think sometimes maybe discussing that or figuring out a way to share that. I know it's probably a sensitive topic. But I think somehow sharing that with the player body would be good. I don't know how you would do that, but I'm just sharing.
Yeah, well, we the general numbers, for how many seconds we do. As for the percentage, I wanted to make a change, see if somebody noticed it, or if it's gotten better or for the worse. Because usually, if we make a change, somebody screams just for the sake of screaming. So I wanted to do it quietly, make the change, see if it's gotten better or worse this map, and so that's why I really didn't say anything. And you said it seems to be a little better. That's good. I've made the adjustments to the right area, right direction, because last couple of maps I've noticed how they were, swinging wildly when they really shouldn't be. So I'm trying to cut down the wild swings and the spawn delays.
Okay. All right. Good feedback. Guys, we have Nate and Private PD asking all the questions here. So if you're in the background wondering what's going on, ask away. I'm going to go ahead and go with Nate. Nate, what do you got?
Okay, so for the voice comms, going back to voice comms, would there be a range depending on what, like, if someone is using their mic, would there be a range like 300 meters from them, you can hear the mic, or would it be like unlimited range?
Yeah, good question. So there would be different forms so the local chat that you're referencing, we haven't determined the specific distances. 300 meters is pretty extreme, but we would, 50 meters, something kind of close, localized makes sense. But you will have an all-reaching mission channel, so like an official radio, and then you'll even be able to listen in on target channel, which is where, according to the plan that we originally put out, would have a battle commander, whoever the OIC of the battle is, being able to speak to all of the battle participants on that channel, which would be great for orders and communication. then there would also be a command channel where the battle commander as well as all mission leaders are connected. So that would help create greater cohesion, and you can imagine the turnkey chain of command that people would fall into. That's what we want. That's what we really need. So that also goes in line with the mission leader and also HC kind of tools going forward. To be the battle commander, you wouldn't need to be HC most likely. We haven't determined that, but might be a good incentive to encourage some people to join HC. I don't know. PD, we're going to go to you. What do you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, is there a definite vision for a sequel to World War II Online? Do you have in mind a particular version number that we might like transition from continually improving the current build to actually working on like a full new project? Because I get the sense that if we were just going down the current trajectory of upgrading like models and stuff, it might take much longer than just like switching to a new development.
Yeah, no, good question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a difficult one to answer. Our first priority is obviously the continuation of World War II Online as a brand. In order for that to happen, we have to build up. We have to get a little bit more success. Building video games is anything but trivial. Takes a significant amount of work and a lot of money to pull that off. We're doing what we can on our end to reduce our operating infrastructure costs and expenses for that matter. But, we are interested in future opportunities for sure for World War II Online. The current scope and scale that we have, which is really probably one of the grandest and most bold type of game designs you can imagine. We have a great baseline to start from. We've talked about, okay, what if we just went down Unreal's path, or what if we did this? And it really comes down to the graphics engine. How can we upgrade from within? Our mission at this point is to gain enough success to be able to obtain additional development hands by which we can upgrade our internal technologies. And from that, we can work towards a true path of better curve appeal, increase fixes and capabilities, but a random 2.0 kind of Kickstarter sort of initiative, I don't know if it would produce those results. It's possible, but over the next couple of years, the situation with World War II Online and CRS and PlayNet for that matter, it'll be interesting to see how things develop, because right now CRS is the exclusive game developer. With that being said, there's certain decisions that we cannot alone make, at least for the time being. So therefore, that's about what I can say at the moment. And we hope that, we're doing the proper things that people are interested in, and will continue to subscribe and support us. Active initiatives like here in this Rat Chat today is a demonstration of our continued interest to work with you guys and to deliver results despite certain challenges. It's, I think it's important that people realize, and I don't mean to say this in some sort of, you should think this way. I'm just, from our perspective, we're a group of guys who, have a lot of different talents and really care about what we're doing here at World War II Online. That's the only reason why we're doing it. We're all passionate about certain things, and to be honest, the pay isn't good. So we're all passionate about this project, and we hope that you can realize that although this is a business and there are some things we have to keep close to the chest, that you've never had a more connected developer at CRS than you do now. Everyone here is from the community. We were in your shoes. We know what you guys want for the most part, or what the challenges are. We've been there. So I hope that resonates a little bit with you guys. Just subscribe and support us. That's all we can ask for at this point. And little initiatives like we had with our Indiegogo campaigns, those help us do really important things. It's making this move possible, which will then reduce our monthly operating costs. So it's a great investment. We really appreciate all that support. But we have to be realistic with our capabilities. We can't just go and, launch a mortar and hope for the best. We have to make very tactical moves. Anyway, I know I beat that probably dead, but it's important to go into that level of detail on this one, I think. Dilems, I'm going to go to you. Go ahead.
Okay, my second question is, have we looked into mission leader control? I want to be able to disable and enable the MS without deleting it. And I want to be able to disable, enable the mission spawning completely, say after I set up.
Yeah, interesting. No, I've never heard of that myself. It's not a bad idea though. So if that's in a feature request somewhere, like in the forums, send me a private message with it. Just send me a link. I'll take a look. That's not a bad idea. It shouldn't be. I don't see that as a huge task. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna go to Hawker. Go ahead.
Hello. So I guess going back to the whole mission leader thing, and this is kind of along the same lines that we've been talking about, but have you ever considered maybe allowing delegation of control from mission leader? You might have 20 people in a mission, and it's great that the mission leader could command them to do this and that and whatnot, but, potentially having a lower level, maybe what most games would call a squad or like fire teams or something, and have kind of maybe those individual people, those individual groups could do mobile spawns, and maybe just have a bit more control on the battlefield as opposed to just having one person in total control.
I have thought about it, and I think I know what game have or games plural may have inspired you to think in that way. I've seen it done relatively well, but to be honest, at the infantry place, mobile spawns have not been working, and I think that would be kind of a requirement to achieve that. The reason is we have a combined arms kind of larger scale game. Now, there's no reason why, if these individuals that you're referring to in a squad or even a fire team, they want to go create a new mission, they can do that. But the mission is, if you think about it, is really the portal of entry to all that is, spawning into World War II Online. I read the very original 1999 game design document, and it was stated as the core of the game, and it sure as hell still is. Expanding beyond that, and creating micro units, I like the idea of it in terms of role play and maybe some increased capabilities. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I understand it. I think I really support a fluid chain of command based on who's on the line. Those are all great, but I've seen in another game where they've used like backpacks and created, so you have like your 4 to 5 mobile spawn and a backpack people are jumping out of it. It's kind of weird. It's fun. Huh?
Excuse me, T-Man, if you don't mind me just
yeah,
adding
go
one more
ahead.
thing. I think we actually really have it with what you described, and that is creating a separate mission for your small fire team squad, but having the same target. So as long as your target is the same, everybody who's working that same target will be able to get everybody else's comms in marks. So we really do have that capability already.
Yeah, it's kind of what I said earlier, is that, there's no reason to prevent you from creating it. I guess I was just kind of focusing on the idea from another game that the gentleman had, and I just don't see it applicable to World War II Online without, we just had another scenario where we had the high command mobile spawn, which was, okay, in limited fashion, we can spawn in some infantry here and there, and people were really upset with that. So we just had to yank it out. I don't think infantry mobile spawns are a future going forward for the game. I just don't see it. That's not bad, by the way. Don't freak out about that. That's just, we've tried it twice. It ain't happening. It just ain't working. All right. We got the same people asking questions. Where's everybody at? What the hell? PD, go ahead.
Hey there. I wanted to ask, do you have any thoughts on maybe a radio man class? So you have to be near them to like transmit over the net or something like that going forward?
Yeah, I've thought about that. When we get voice comms that might be able to expand their net reach or something like that, or it being kind of like a forward observer, future called in artillery potential that might be a really great opportunity for that. But none of those things exist at present. They could, but they just don't at present. Yeah, good question. I think radio men are awesome. And when I say arty, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to get the server tracked objects, but I've personally, I'm not saying this is doctrine from CRS, this is going to happen. I've personally been in favor of like very controlled, limited, calling in artillery. Anyway, I think people here might get concerned about that because we're ultra realistic, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just, the 48 star argument on the U.S. flag has never left my mind. So, Nate, go ahead.
Okay. I've already put this on the forums, but would there be like a possibility of adding more naval action towards the east of map? Like if the allies are advancing east towards eastern Germany, would there be more naval battles? Like if Axis was advancing west towards England, there's majority naval battles. I would like to see if you guys would add any more like lakes, or like where we can actually like have naval battles in the east.
Okay. So if there was actually a lake there, I doubt there would be destroyers in a lake, just to be honest. But here's how we've talked about options going forward to try and encourage more naval behavior. Which, by the way, I started out in Kriegsmarine back in 2002. We had a lot of good times even before there were destroyers in the game. But here's what would be really cool in my opinion, and that would be first off in the north, there's a lot of potential. Look in the northeast of the Zealands. CRS internally is talking about with Five, who's one of our production team members. He works on terrain. We're looking at opportunities to expanding terrain in that direction. With the intention of encouraging more naval gameplay. Another great opportunity would be creating greater significance of RDP, because people have to have an incentive. This game is all about incentives. If the game was all about first-person shooters and just the amount of kills you can rack up, and I think we would be missing a big point of what World War II Online is, and that comes down to the strategic element of the game. Therefore, if we had, AI columns in terms of, ships, and that having an impact on RDP, that going from the U.S., quote unquote, or simulating coming from that direction into the United Kingdom, that might be a really great way to encourage the Kriegsmarine to go out there and impact those ships, and for the, the English to get out there and, the Royal Navy and engage those units, as well as the RAF. I think we can create more gameplay that way. But getting to that point, any of this stuff is possible for sure, but we have to be realistic with our resources. So if we want more done, we first have to subscribe and do the best we can to support CRS so I can be able to get full-time devs and, go from there, become a hero builder. And I know that sounds cliche and businessy, but I mean, that's totally legitimate statement to be making if we want to get more done. So Colonel Smith is a new guy asking a question. I'm going to go with him. Colonel Smith, you're up.
Yeah, okay. Hey, about the HC guy, we still got HC officers in the spawn list. However, they cannot make an HC FMS. That's a great little weapon to have when you're especially under pop. So just wondered if the availability of that in the future.
Yeah, the HCMS is pulled going forward. We have no intention to return it because it just wasn't well received. T-Man or Ohm, one of you guys want to jump in on that? You guys know about that.
Can you repeat the question again, please?
HCFMS. It's a great weapon, especially when you're under pop. I mean, right? The allies don't have to worry about that too much, but when you're under pop, it's an excellent weapon to have and, utilize, lesser forces in a more discreet manner.
Yeah, from a community management perspective, look, the complaints were that it was really unrealistic. That all of a sudden infantry is popping up behind a defender's line of defense. And so ultimately we decided it was it was put in there because we've been short HC for a long time, and we were trying to incentivize players to join HC. And I think we've still done that with their own separate, at least infantry spawn list. But we may have gone too far with the HCFMS. And so we're open to trying things, putting things in the game, pulling things out of the game, looking at making modifications. But at this point, it's not coming back. Go ahead, Ohm. Sorry.
No, you hit that nail right on the head. It just wasn't realistic, and like T-Man said, it was an incentive to get players to become officers in the game, which we're really lacking of.
I think that CRS is in a constant state of balancing realism and gameplay. I don't think we're under any illusions that World War II Online is a game, right? But our mission, part of our core internal thought processes, and I think the community would agree with it, which is why you're here, is that we're doing the best we can to simulate what is World War II. But we obviously make exceptions. The act of spawning out of anything is a joke, right? Just as one example. But there is that balance that needs to be made. And as T-Man says, we try things and we have to sometimes, retract those things. So it was a cool idea. Didn't work out. Community didn't like it. And we also didn't have a lot of great feedback because one other issue was you spawn in with the intention of getting an LMG, but only the HCMS could accept riflemen or SMGs, or maybe I want to be a sapper engineer. So there was a lack of feedback that was creating confusion for some players. All right, Captain Black Eagle, you're up. Go ahead.
So once again, it's T-Man here. He does not have
okay, all right.
Voice. So he's got a question about EWS. He wants to know why he can't fly underneath radar and not trigger EWS until you're closer to an objective.
Yeah, good point. Don't have an answer for you on that one. It's just not implemented in that manner. But yeah, that would be awesome. It makes sense to me. But we don't actually have radar stations, so there's another one of these things where we've tried to simulate things with what we could do. That would be a great thing to ask Sniper about and maybe look at doing. I don't know. That would be really cool because I fly super low too. You guys would never get my paratrooper plane, I'll tell you that. Googs, you're up.
Okay, and my question goes back to, I think, a little bit of the HC thing that we have going on, and late TZ2, TZ3, where we make somebody OIC and we log off. Have we talked about giving them a little bit more control to change divisions or change where they're at, so that if I leave map and they're on an AO, that they can then leave that division and go to a completely another division, and just do a little bit more, that not a full HC, but more.
Yeah, I understand. I'm a big fan of, and I was using the volunteer OIC thing the other day. The bottom line is, I mean, that's great for a temporary, real short solution, like a one-off battle thing. But, at the end of the day, the solution is just become a reserve officer in high command. I mean, really, if these guys are routinely doing it, that would make the most sense, because
I agree.
You never know. I mean, I've been playing the last few nights, and on the Axis side, I've been the only HC officer multiple times. I'm sure many of you guys can relate to that experience. We made with 136 the requirement in the difficulty of being an HC officer so less significant. And this is why, by the way, for this very reason, to reduce the requirement of HC to make the game function. But that doesn't mean that, we left the AOs. The AOs are still in your hands. So we need people to join HC and realize it's not the same old shit where you have to do a bunch of paperwork and, it's a good old boy club. That doesn't matter. It's so beyond. Googs, I know I'm going off the rails. It's not on you. I'm just irritated by the topic.
No,
because it should be so clear that if you're a veteran of the game, this is the right time to become a part of high command. It's not hard. And the number of vets who are online making up reasons not to participate is just lazy. And there's grave consequences, like, oh, My side isn't winning. I wonder why. Well, that's why nobody has the tools to do the job, because you don't want to, because of some reason that doesn't make sense. Anyway, I'm now ranting. I apologize, but I had to get that off my chest.
No, and I know I'm hitting kind of calling an elephant in the room on one of the big topics, right? And it's more of just to your point, it's a picky topic, right? Everybody picks on it, but I think if we can look at some controls that give some people a little bit of flexibility that don't want to join HC, that maybe are hesitant, that's my thought. And I know you guys have talked about this before on previous rat chats.
But Googs,
and so I think that's real. Yep.
Yeah, man, we just got to get them to join HC. If they want more tools, they want to be able to move from brigade to brigade and place AOs and place bridge AOs and DOs. They just got to join HC.
That's really all
join the
they have
reserves.
to do.
Get a 2-hour training class from Mime Brutus. Get placed, and when you're online, you have the tools and you know how to use them.
But that's, I mean, and that's really it. That's all these guys are doing today is putting down and removing AOs. And that's, I mean, yeah, you got to move a unit here and there, but the rest of it, I mean, what do we have now? 3 divisions per side? 3, right?
Yeah, that's 2, actually 3 right now.
And they're all
2, and then becomes 3 when the US comes in.
They're all
in time zone 3, you don't need to move brigades. You're not burning through a garrison worth of supply.
Well, that's just
but you do need to move. You do need to move brigades because you lose them, right? And I think that's one of the big topics. So let's not get off the rails. Let's not get off the rails. I know we had a really good.
You're touching a hot topic here, man.
Yeah. So I think the key there is that there are reasons that people don't want to join HC, because people still do. While they don't do as much as they did in the past, they still get the brunt of when people are mad, right? And so you play a little cheerleader, which is great, and you want to play coach and help and do that. And I think that when you get cut, for example, at night, it's because somebody couldn't move the flags to get them out, and there was no HC on to get it out, right? And so I think that that's just one example of where an OIC might have a little more control, so that something like losing a complete division in TZ3 won't happen, right?
At this point, there really is no plan to expand volunteer OIC. I mean, really, there just isn't, because the solution is to just get the tool set. And I don't have a better answer for that, because then it gets kind of finicky. That's a one-off, very controlled scenario where then we could have a reverse blowback from high command that we over-engineered something that should not have been because it was an idea. And then just like the HCMS, it's going to be one of those. I mean, I can already see it. It's not that it's not a bad idea. You're right. We should examine ways to get more players, veterans, to participate in a way to help. Because anyway, that is the solution for them to realize it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. I mean, there's Okimo. He did it yesterday. He said, hey, man, these guys need help. Just put me back in HC. Boom. Clear example of taking initiative and realizing what needed to be done. Anyway, Goog's really good information, and it's a great topic. It's something that's really important to the community. And I hope some people, even maybe here or outside of this room, that are part of the community, reconsider their thoughts and just how important it is, because the number of people that are upset at HC for not doing something, well, they have no reason to be if they're not in the tools themselves. And that's just really poor form, in my opinion. There's just no excuse for that. Hey, you guys should have done this. Well, where the hell were you? Oh, right. Petey, you're up. Go ahead.
Hey again. Sorry to have so many questions, but
right.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about the vision for the game as a sequel. I wanted to suggest maybe some kind of design master document wiki that we could incorporate decades of suggestions on the forums and bring it into something that's can be potentially pitched on Kickstarter or something like that. That's my question, my point.
Well, I think that the community's involvement in all of our development, when the appropriate time comes, we do get involved with the community. I make personal phone calls to many community members, and some of them are here, some of them are not. And we do bounce ideas off them to stay in check, to make sure we come up with good ideas. But we need to be realistic about what we can do. The community come up with an amazing game design plan that we can never execute because it's out of the realm of being achievable or not in line with business goals. Our goal is, of course, is to be more successful and to build up, but we got to work with what we got. Until otherwise come up with a compelling plan to obtain resources to do something we currently cannot. I am interested, Petey. As one arbitrary example, which this is not an active thing by any means, but if we look at World War II Online right now and say, what if we opened it to a new theater? What's our ROI on that? Return on investment? What could we do? How can we rework our existing vehicle set, with new textures and whatnot to fit the period? I mean, that would be more realistic than saying, let's start completely with nobody wants to just keep doing this till the end of time. We want to do more is what I'm saying. And a 2.0 quote unquote is a great tagline, but it's proven very difficult to create real action on that. It just has been. So it's not simple, and the stakes are high. If we make a mistake or falsely communicate with the player base, and we try to be as realistic and pragmatic in our discussion, which is why I'm not entirely supportive or like gung-ho about what you're saying, just because I want to be very careful not to mislead anybody. Is there a master design document for World War II Online? Sure there is. Yeah. In terms of a 2.0 or expansion, quote unquote, no, our active roadmap is listed on the website right now for those are our priorities, because that's what we promised you and that's what we're working on, because our team deemed it as realistically achievable. Dilems, you're activated. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question. It seems that the amount of supply in our lists of items that have a motor, not a motor, but a motor, an engine,
yeah,
is quite high. There are more planes on the map than there are light machine guns. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the case in World War II. Have you thought about cutting the supply of everything that has a engine way down?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that that's not how we think at all, because we're appealing to multiple different players. Yes, we do have to balance, again, reality and history, but you know what? We tried to do that not long ago, and that's one of those scenarios that kind of blew up in our face that we had to retract on. We got really hardcore, like, no, this is to the best of our research and knowledge. This is what the production cost was, and this is what the numbers were. Here's what we found out. We found out that players weren't too into that, because again, we're balancing game versus reality. And obviously being able to respawn and die multiple times did not happen in the real war. It was one and done. So we have to keep things fun. The pilot game, the air game, is something we want to be really particularly careful with, because there's only so many pilots left. We of course want more, but we don't want to mess with them in a negative way. And it's one of the reasons we're prioritizing giving them these loadouts first, is because we want to amp that area up. World War II Online really started out as, going back to Warbirds, as an air simulation game. And everything is built from that. So it's really important to the core of what we're doing. So I see your chat there, but asking the same question repeatedly isn't really going to produce a different result. I just gave you the answer. I understand you think there's too many planes. That's something we're happy to jump back and take a look at. But, we're balancing the list differently because we're appealing to different people. And I think that's a really important point to be made. Ian77, I'm going to call on you. Go ahead.
Hi. In one of the first slides, you said HC tools would be unavailable for 1 to 2 weeks during the server swap round. Are those tools the tools that you were talking about more recently, with placing AOs, moving flags?
So the ability to issue, like, get new officers in and to manage your order of battle. So to issue those tools to players, that's what the HC tools covers. However, that being said, so if you wanted to apply to OCS and become an officer during that down period, you will not be able to. But if you're already an existing officer, your tools will not be impacted. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. AJL. Go ahead.
why do certain people on either the Axis side or Allied side have the one up when you camp a depot?
Can you drill down on that? What is? I don't follow. Sorry.
Well, like I jump into a depot, and it's like same guys like Eagle and all them guys who kill you before you even get in there.
I'm not sure. I'd have to observe it in the buzzard and give you a better understanding of what's
Yeah,
going on.
I understand that. I understand that. But it's like you come into a depot and you want to walk in there and you have the upper hand on them, and all of a sudden they're boom, you're gone.
Yeah. Some players are very frustrating and get the best of you a lot. You can ask your son about that with me. Because he kills me all the time and I don't like it.
Nah, it's just it's like the same 3 or 4 Allied players or Axis players who do the same thing over and over. And I mean, I've been here since June 15th of 2000 when the game started. I wasn't a day one player. I've been playing it throughout. I have Nate on my lap with photos playing too. So I will never leave this game. But it's just hard to understand how when you rush into a CP and you kill a guy and he turns and kills you.
Yeah. Could be some networking stuff going on there. As part of our move to Portland, we're hoping for better network connectivity. We're actually going to be expanding our pipeline, and this is a little technical, so hang in there. But between our switches, we're going to be expanding that to a 10 gigabit line, which means our servers can communicate with each other faster. And we do believe that our new provider is going to be better for the Europeans with less hops and just getting here faster. So, I mean, that and we're actually working on networking code. We're hoping for the best, but you're not playing on Wi-Fi, are you?
No, oh no, I'm playing
Okay.
on a
Good, because that's one reason we find often why people, I don't get it. Why am I being disconnected? Because you're on an unstable connection, man.
Oh no. I have whatchamacallit, 100 gig, what is it? Jesus Christmas.
Not yet. 100 megabit, it sounds like. Or
yeah, it's Jesus Christ. Nate, help me out here. But anyways, it just kills me when I run into a depot and I got the upper hand on the enemy and he kills me.
Yep. You're not the only one that experiences that, AJL. I mean, you could just listen in on Discord, the number of F-bombs from that sort of thing happening. It's just it's just part of the gnashing of the teeth and smashing of the keyboard that makes World War II Online so great.
Boom, can I jump in again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. So yeah, so as I look down this roster of 45 people still here and 52 at the max, I can't help but to notice that the people who are here attending this meeting today are really the core and the backbone of the game. And going on, you know, what AJL just said, you can get frustrated, you can get angry, we can't control some things we can do better, but in the end, you know, we need you guys to keep positive in the game, especially you core 45 people. We don't need negative chat. You guys have a direct connection to any one of us at CRS through private messaging or email. If you have a complaint, I'm just imploring to you to bring it to us and keep the in-game public chat more positive. And I think that will go a long way to helping our players, new players, stay around and help some retention. And then secondly, I wanted to quickly announce Operation Iron Justice next Sunday, 12 p.m. server time. It will be an infantry-focused HC-led event. We'll open up all classes of infantry for everybody, and we'll also, I think, open up all of the ATGs to all infantry for the particular tier that we're in. So hoping we can get maximum participation from our squads, spread the word. We know that these types of special events bring higher player numbers, better player experience, leading to better retention, more paying passengers, and a better experience for all of us. Thanks. Sorry.
Okay.
Not sorry, but cheers.
All right. Well, I think it's time now that we've been here an hour and 15 minutes. We've got a lot of people here who have not asked questions. So here's what we're going to do. A little unconventional, but it's kind of something we do as we run our team meetings. I'm going to take the huge risk of going down the list and unmuting each individual to give them the opportunity to speak. You can say something of encouragement, or what time you or when you joined the game, or if you have a last question that suddenly popped up, anything you want. But we're gonna go through some people we haven't heard yet. Okay, so we're gonna go to Al. We're gonna start there. TR6 Al, and then we'll work our way down. Okay, it's not unmuted. There you go.
No questions from me at the moment.
All right. Great. Okay, Colonel, Dog Company, go ahead. Got anything? No mic. All right, sweet. After we're done here, Demon 426. Demon, you got anything? Okay. I'd say this is very successful so far. Dude can.
Hello.
What's up?
Not too much. Just sitting here listening.
Right on. Got anything you want to add or any questions?
No, I don't have too much. Everything's, pretty fair. You need 8 more HC on, but there's not much we can do with that right now, I don't think.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for saying something. Good to hear from you. All right. All right. Duff Loop. No mic. I think we need to get a World War II Online mic funding drive going, because there's a lot of dudes without microphones here. That's not good. Grassmaster, you got anything?
Yep. Ended up getting my brother to join up, so hopefully he stays around.
Sweet. Mission complete. Well done, sir. Okay, we'll keep going. Hey, Hatch is here. I know that guy. Hold on. Unmute, damn it. It's not working. Unmute. Whatever.
Who, me?
Yeah. Hey, there you go. I didn't see you hiding in the list there. What's up, man?
Oh, lots of stuff. Working on Colo stuff.
Yay. I'm going to keep going down the list then, unless you got something
Yeah,
specific.
I don't have anything special to add. Just hope to have a little powwow with Pilot after this and show him what I accomplished, and maybe things will go a little easier.
Hey, IB Shot, are you there? Oh, okay. Well, I would, I'm going to keep going through the list because I said I would, but so far, not a high probability of people saying stuff. Brutus, I just gave you access to unmute yourself. All right.
Hey, all right.
Hey.
Hey, it worked. All these buttons. Yeah. Big props to Hawker just out of this meeting tonight that he's going to join back up to the AHC on the Allied side. So we're going to get him trained up and ready to go.
Wait. You mean he put his money where his mouth was?
He honestly did. Yeah. It's awesome. Everybody can do that. Yes, I don't bite. Quiet. So like everybody on our team, on the CRS team here, probably 98% of us have all been through the HC program on one side or the other, and it's fantastic. It opens up a whole new level of gaming that you will not get in any other game on the market. Yeah, I could talk for hours, but I won't. I'll leave it at that quick. Training is painless. You can ask anybody that's gone through it. And don't believe all the hype about the biting. It's really easy. Applications are online off the community link on the main webpage. If you're a Steam player, it's by email. Zoom, I don't want to step on your toes, but I was thinking I'd still like to accept applications and train guys even when the tools are down, and then they're ready to go when the tools are back up again, if that's all right. Other than that, yeah, go teams.
Yes, I'm Brutus. I think the system needs to be that if players are interested in the HC right now while the tools are down, they should email you directly, and then they can be placed by OHM or KMS into the roster. And then we'll update it when the tools are back online.
Yep, absolutely fantastic. Yep, so tools will be down, but the training and the entry program is still live. So come on in, even if you're not going to join. If you have any questions, absolutely catch me on in-game, in the forums, Discord, PM me anywhere you can. And yeah, all right, thanks.
All right, we'll go through and let the rats who are here, if you guys got something you want to add, by all means. Jim, you want to start? We're going to wrap up.
Yeah, sounds good. I had a question on Facebook from Josh Twazara. It says, this is awesome, guys. Now how about variable fuel quantity loadouts so we can use less when AODO is closer, decreasing weight and improving maneuverability. Either way, thank you, CRS. This has been asked for a long time, and you guys are delivering great work.
Sweet. I'll let Hatch answer that when we get to him. And right now, guys, we're not answering any more questions for the time being, so just keep your hands down for a moment. We will wrap up here shortly after the leadership team's done, and then if you guys want to straggle around a little bit, we'll answer a couple more without the cameras and recording and all that stuff going. Old Zeke, you're next. Go ahead. You got something you want to add?
No, not really.
Cool. Hatch, anything else you want to add? Maybe answer that dude's question on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. As far as the question with fuel loadouts go, we specifically decided against alternating fuel loadouts when we started the game. Now, obviously, this is a whole different crew, whole different leadership team, and although we don't currently have the capabilities to do that through the client, as it hasn't been engineered, and like giving you a GUI placed where you can set that. We are looking at adjusting those for overweight conditions for the different loadouts that are coming down the pike. So in other words, you won't be able to say, I only want to take 50% fuel, but if you happen to take a loadout that is I'm trying to think of the term, it's not overweight, but it is overweight, then it will have fuel reduced to the proper amount for that loadout. That would be the first iteration of that. The reason we didn't, we elected not to do that from the get-go was just simply because it wasn't realistic as far as fighter planes and such taking off. None of them ever took off without full tanks or drop tanks even. So that was our thought process on that, and where we are today.
That would make sense to me. All right, we're going to go to Heavy 265. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I don't.
All right. Brutus, you just had a shot at it, but we'll give you another chance. Anything else? Okay. Home.
No, I'm good.
T-Man.
All good, thanks.
Okay. All right, Brutus, go ahead.
Yeah, all good, boss.
All good. All right. Whew. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and cancel the live stream. Do that now, and I'm going to kill the